Cho.
Hello.
I have quite a bit to give you.
Jade Serpent.
The long-lost story of Lu Lang and his Wandering Isle. This is a superb addition to your collection. If you wish me to narrate this for you, simply point out the correct volume in your private collection. Actually, let's hold on. Let's do that first, actually.
Every good
Pandaria is rich with history, legends, stories, and lore of every sort. While you are traveling throughout the world, I would ask that you keep an eye open for artifacts and pieces of information that you feel will be pertinent to our work here. When you accumulate enough knowledge, we will compile it into a volume for your personal collection here. You can, of course, return whenever you like to review the volumes that we are making for you.
Tread lightly, eyes open, always be learning.
So this is going to be my own personal private collection. There we go.
Jade.
Now that is done, we can start to place your collected research here. I look forward to seeing what you find.
Every good story needs a hero. Tread lightly. When the Sundering ripped apart the continents of Azeroth, we Pandaren thought that the rest of the world had been utterly destroyed. But as the centuries passed, one young explorer decided to see what was out there. His name was Liu Liang, and he set out to discover the world on the back of a turtle. We celebrate his bravery with statue and song. But if you were actually there, on the beach that very day, well, I'm sure he looked quite silly indeed. Oh, how the Pandaren laughed at him. But Liu Lang was more clever than anyone thought. Sea turtles always return to the beach where they were born. And so, despite the mists that envelop our land, he always had a way home. Every few years, he returned, with tales of mysterious cities in the sand, nomadic people living on endless grassy plains, a great empire under the ice, and a magical kingdom gilded in gold. Each time he returned, more and more Pandaren answered Liu Lang's call and joined him on his growing turtle. They were the bravest among us, the explorers, the adventurers. And that is the lesson of Liu Lang, my friend. Everyone always laughs at the explorer. They always laugh until he returns.
I of course also talked a bit about this when we did the Pandaren starting zone.
Farewell. Greetings. Every good story needs a hero.
So tell me about Between a Sorok and a Hard Place.
Tread lightly. Let us talk about the nature of power. In my hands, I hold a sword. I ask you, who wields the power? I do, for I wield the sword. Many thousands of years ago, the Mogu held all the power. They ruled this land with fists of iron. But as their empire grew, they needed a way to police. They used the powers of the veil and their own flesh-warping magics to twist and shape a race of ferocious lizards into a living weapon. They created an army of Sorok, bloodthirsty savages created to enforce the will of the Emperor. But there is a problem with creating a living weapon. Do you see? Who now wields the power? The heartless Sorok even with their tiny lizard brains, soon realized the truth of their position. They killed the enemies of the Mogu, then they killed the subjects of the Mogu. Soon, they started killing the Mogu themselves. The Mogu Emperor then ordered all of the Sorok to be purged. He tried to wipe out their entire race, to no avail. They still plague Pandaria to this day. So you see, power is easily taken, but should not be lightly given. Oh, I seem to have lost my sword.
Lol.
Jade Serpent guide you. How does today find you? Farewell.
Oh, this is a real treat. I always did enjoy the Jinyu, such as peaceful people with a real appreciation for wisdom.
Great events often have humble beginnings. Consider a quiet pond. Still, the water is like a sheet of glass. Until I throw a stone. Such a small thing. But soon, ripples engulf the whole of the lake. The Jinyu also have humble origins. Once primitive creatures, they were fortunate enough to live near the enchanted pools within the Veil. The magic of the pools expanded their minds and grew their bodies until they became one of the great ancient cultures of Pandaria. The wisest of the Jinyu are very wise indeed. They can speak to the rivers the way you and I would consult our elders. In the whispering waters, they can hear the future. The Jinyu and their water speakers stand at the very heart of the greatest events in Pandaria's history. Their visions built empires, freed slaves, and warned our last emperor of the sundering that shattered Azeroth 10,000 years ago. Think about it. The smallest voice can change the world. Consider that, friend, the next time you decide to start throwing stones.
That's a very nice, helpful advice to anybody that could translate the throwing stones part as verbal abuse on the internet, or say in a video game. Looking at you, Overwatch community, that love to tell be incredibly toxic to people in the game chat.
Eyes open.
Who would have thought the freedom of the Pandaren people would begin with a single punch?
What is the source of your power? Think carefully before you answer. Many adventurers point to their weapons, or their equipment, or to tomes of arcane might. Long ago, when my people were slaves of the Mogu Empire, we were forbidden from carrying any weapon at all. We were not fighters, and no one believed we could fight the Mogu without magic and steel until Kang, the Fist of First Dawn, opened our eyes. One day, the beloved monk issued a challenge to his fellow slaves. "Hit me!" he called out. Surprised, the beleaguered Pandaren slaves tried to strike Kang. One by one, they failed, for he intercepted their blows like a dancer and sidestepped their attacks like a reed in the wind. "Our backs are hardened by the whips of the Mogu," he told them. "Our arms are powerful from building their fortresses. Our minds are sharp from working alongside our enemy. You think the Mogu are stronger? I say we are their strength. The farmers, the bricklayers, the shepherds, the smiths, they all bowed before Kang. Teach us, they said. Teach us to fight. And when they rose as warriors. Your voice, your hands, these are the tools of true heroes. Use them well, and you can change the world. Hello. Tread light?
Ah, the Hosen are by their very nature a rambunctious lot.
Every good story needs a hero. One day, a father grew tired of his young cub's misbehavior. You act just like a Hosen, the father scolded. Still, his son misbehaved. To teach him a lesson, the father dragged the cub out to the forest to watch how the Hosen live. Do you see what the Hosen are like? He asked. Do you want to live like that? The Hosen are quite lively indeed. A short-lived race. Few Hosen survive past their 20th birthday. Their leaders are all 14 or 15. How mature were you at 14 years old? Meditate on that. Afterward, the father asked his cub what he had learned. I learned that we work and toil on our little farm, but that the Hosen have the whole world as their garden, the cub said. I learned that we squint by the light of a single candle, but that the Hosen enjoy the light of the stars. I learned that I go to school every day, but that the Hosen learn by doing. And the cub concluded, I should very much like to live like a Hosen. Who then was the wiser, the father or the cub? That, my friend, is for you to decide. Eyes open. Always be learning.
So tell me about the Yongle.
Farewell.
Ah, the Yongle are a warring people strengthened by their exile beyond the wall.
Fire. It is the most magical of elements. It warms us, it cooks our food. It is the hearth fire that makes a house a home. In the right hands, fire can shape iron into sword. Fire is the instrument of change. Long ago, a group of sturdy nomad hunters wandered the world. By a stroke of fate, they were here in Pandaria when the Sundering split apart the continents of Azeroth. The wanderers found themselves trapped in the town-long steppes, a harsh and dangerous land. Those noble hunters found a way to survive on their own. Fire was the key. They drew up oil from the ground. They used it to heat their homes, cook their food, and burn their enemies. They grew strong. From the flames of fate, the Yongle were born. They survived beyond the wall, for they refused to submit to any law but their own. Has fate been cruel to the Yongle? You may as well ask if fire is good or bad. Fate is like fire. It can shape us, or it can destroy us. All that matters is what you do with it. How does today find you?
Now tell me about the
Jade
Mantid.
Serpent guide you.
When we began this research project, I never thought I would learn so much about such a terrifying people.
Oh, my student, you wish to study the Mantid? Be warned, the Pandaran frontier is littered with the graves of former pupils. The Mantid are harsh teachers. Every generation, the Mantid swarm the Serpent Spine Wall in great numbers. They murder many Pandaran, so we kill many times their number in return. Yet each generation, they attack once more. Why do they do this? We Pandaran do not know. Our ancient writings indicate that the Mantid have always been here. They predate even the Mogu. Where did they come from? We Pandaran do not know. Perhaps if you were to befriend the Mantid and earn a reputation among them, they would teach you their secrets. But I warn you, nobody has ever befriended the Mantid. Here is what the Pandaran do know. By massacring our people, by slaughtering tens of thousands of Pandaran, generation after generation, they have taught us the value of life. A precious but fleeting gift, easily snuffed out in an instant. This is what the Mantid have taught us.
So what I would love is a follow-up here, because I have gotten the reputation with the Klaxi, and they did tell me their secrets about their connection to Ajol Narub and the Nerubians and Yasharaj. Why can't I tell that to Cho?
Pandaria welcomes you.
Tell me about the 7 burdens of Xiaohao. Oh, this is a story I have long sought to uncover. Ever since the Shah was released, I have felt in my belly that this tale was at the heart of it all.
Ah, you wish to learn of our last and greatest emperor, Xiaohao. Oh, my friend, I do not have the time here to recount all of his adventures. But his actions 10,000 years ago resonate to this very day. We know that he purged his doubts in the Jade Forest, that he cleansed himself of despair in the Krasarang Wilds, that he overcame his fear in the town-long steppes, and that he defeated anger, hatred, and violence high in the mountains of Gunlai. This is known. And there are temples to mark these most sacred of places. But I want you to imagine standing in this very valley on the day he returned from his journey. Imagine being here when the gates opened for him. By then, our emperor was a creature of pure light. No doubts, no fears, no hatred. It is said that all the trees in the vale blossomed as he entered, and continue to blossom to this day. Would that we could all live like our most sacred emperor, that we could put aside all our burdens and exist in harmony with the cosmos. That, I believe, was his message to us, before he became one with the land and hid Pandaria away from the terror of the Sundering. Thank you, dear Emperor. Tread lightly. Farewell.
Alright, so that's a different thing, so... What did that get me to? I see. So, this is not quite what I was hoping for.
Welcomes you. Jade Serpent. Ah, you wish to learn of our last and greatest emperor.
So, what I was actually hoping to show you guys are the animations that they released about those 7 burdens of Xiaohao. So, it looks like there may not be a way for me to actually show this to you in-game. So, I'm probably going to have to instead go to YouTube and pull it up and show it to you guys. Now, this will give me the opportunity to actually pause if there's anything I want to talk about or bring attention to. But it looks like there's no way for me to just show this to you in game, so it's basically my only other option. So I will be right back, and we will watch The Burdens of Xiao Hao.
10,000 years ago, all the continents of Azeroth were as one. And it is said that all the rivers in the world flowed to one magical place. This was the ancient Empire of Pandaria, nestled in the most fertile of river valleys at the far end of the world. Behold, the last emperor on the day of his coronation. His name was Xiao Hao. Young Xiao Hao was born to be emperor and wanted for nothing. The wealth of the great Pandaren Empire was his to command. All Pandaren emperors begin their reign by consulting with the great Jinyu elders. It was said that the Jinyu could talk to the rivers, that they could hear whispers of the future in the rippling waves. The great water speaker closed his eyes and listened to the rivers. He listened for the emperor's long life and prosperous realm, but he heard something else entirely. The wise old Jinyu saw a faraway land, a kingdom of elves grown bold in their arrogance. He saw a pit of fire, a great maw opening upon countless horrors. Numberless demons were about to pour forth onto Azeroth, rending the land, corrupting all they touched. Even if the demons were defeated, the world would be forever broken, the continents forever shattered. Emperor Xiao Hao watched in disbelief as the Jinyu water speaker reeled from the terror of his vision. "What did you see?" Xiao Hao asked. "Long life? Prosperous realm?" But the future held neither for the last emperor of the Pandaren. No, young Xiao Hao could not rest on the riches of his empire. If he was to save his land and his people, he would be called to do something great. He would embark on an epic journey. He would sacrifice all that he was. This is his story. The horrible vision of the Sundering weighed heavily on Emperor Xiao Hao. Cold and alone, he ascended Mount Everest, seeking wisdom from the Jade Serpent. "What troubles you, young Emperor?" the Spirit of Wisdom asked. Xiao Hao replied, "Countless demons will soon pour over Azeroth. What must I do to save my kingdom?" The Jade Serpent answered, "Seek out the heart of Pandaria, for the answer lies within." But how can I find it? The emperor protested. Your emotions cloud you, said the serpent. Free yourself of these burdens. Let the land be your teacher. But the emperor did not understand. He sulked back to his home in the Jade Forest. As he traveled, he commiserated with his old friend, the Monkey King. I was to have a long life, a prosperous realm, the emperor cried. I cannot do this. Relax, said the Monkey King. We are in this together. As he spoke, the four winds began to howl. A great gust blew the Monkey King away. The Monkey King laughed and called out above the growing storm, Sorry, you can't fight fate. The emperor cried out for his friend. No, wait. I cannot do this alone. And in that moment, all of Xiao Hao's uncertainty was manifest in a terrible dark energy, a Shah of doubt. The more the emperor struggled, the more he weakened. The Shah would surely overtake him. Then Xiao Hao remembered the wisdom of the Jade Serpent, and he looked to the land for answers. Nearby, the bamboo of the Jade Forest was also threatened. The reeds that stood rigid against the gale broke under its force. But the reeds that bent with the wind endured the storm and prospered in the rain. Xiao Hao realized the lesson of the reed, and when he turned his back to the Shah, suddenly all his doubts vanished. He knew he could be more than just emperor. The four winds carried the laughing Monkey King over the valley and through the wilds. The emperor's faith led him onward to save his friend and to stop the terrible sundering the water speaker had foreseen.
By the way, really quick, because I'm sure you're going, we haven't even encountered the Monkey King yet during this playthrough. I was actually double checking that just to be sure we had not missed him, because of course I don't want to miss him. It turns out we don't actually find the Monkey King on the Horde. From what I can see here, finding and releasing the Monkey King is part of the Alliance quest involving the Divine Bell with Anduin. So, when I get there on my Alliance character, you'll see that. So, I would say head on over to my Alliance playlist if you want to see me find and release the Monkey King.
Emperor Xiao Hao, free of doubt, pursued his friend, the Monkey King. With the wind at his back, Xiao Hao ran. But in his haste, the emperor stumbled into the dense and untamed swamps of the Krasarang Wilds. No! The emperor cried out. He fought to free himself, but only sank further. The more the emperor worried, the deeper he sank. His worries had taken form, the Shah of despair. Xiao Hao cried out, "Help!" Far above, the majestic red crane of hope soared. "Why do you struggle so?" the crane asked. "I have lost my friend, my kingdom," Xiao Hao cried. It is hopeless. Your friend is not lost, the crane replied. You are. Again, Xiao Hao looked to Pandaria for the answer. He saw the great tree growing in the middle of the swamp. The branches reached for the heavens, but its roots stretched deep into the earth. Xiao Hao's feet found purchase. With hope in his heart, the emperor reached upward, and the grip of despair loosened. I must never forget who I am, he said. I am the emperor, and I will save this land. Hear the Monkey King's laughter on the wind, but it came from the west, beyond the serpent's spine wall. This was the land of the Mantid, mortal enemy of all Pandaren. I cannot do this, Xiao Hao decided. Trembling, the emperor turned to leave. Where are you going? Asked a voice. I'm afraid to go on, said the emperor. Looking into the wastes, he saw a great black ox. Just follow your feet, the black ox said. They will know the way. Xiao Hao descended the wall and crept through the strange realm. To the emperor, it was a waking nightmare. But his feet led the way. Soon, he heard a dreadful sound. Three vile Mantid warriors argued how they would split up and devour their prize, the Monkey King. Xiao Hao was paralyzed with terror. The insidious Shaw of Fear held him in place. The voice of the ox came to Xiao Hao, saying, You must not let your fear control you, my emperor. You must control your fear. Xiao Hao looked once again to the land for answers. The great Kaipari trees of the town-long steppes were legendary for their sap. In one bead of amber, Xiao Hao found his answer. I will not be paralyzed by fear, the emperor proclaimed. Xiao Hao hurled his weight against the nearest tree, and giant globs of sap rained down from above. And now it was the Mantid who were held fast as they struggled against the sap. The emperor had saved his friend. As they fled, the Monkey King was overwhelmed by doubt. Emperor, we cannot do this alone, he cried. You should create an army to crush the Mantid once and for all. Free of his doubts and master of his fears, the emperor was more confident than ever. No, said Xiao Hao. The storm that burns the sky comes for the Mantid as well. We need an army to crush a legion. The last emperor of Pandaria faced a terrible fortune. A burning legion set to tear the world asunder. He had cast away his doubt, despair, and fear. Now, confidence brimming, he would build an army. High atop the peaks of Kunlai Summit, the 100 greatest warriors of Pandaria perfected their arts under the watchful eye of the White Tiger, the spirit of strength. I need an army, Xiao Hao announced. I have come for my warriors. But the White Tiger recognized the great darkness within the brash emperor. Why do you fight? The tiger asked. Xiao Hao bristled. To destroy demon hordes, to crush those who oppose me. No, that is no reason to fight, the tiger said. You are indeed fearless, but still, you are burdened. The emperor scoffed, so the White Tiger issued a challenge. Take this staff, and if you can touch any one of my warriors, they are yours to command. Spurred on by the howls of the Monkey King, the emperor spun about, thrusting and swinging the staff. But the warriors easily dodged his every blow. Furious, Xiao Hao roared. The sum of all his rage, the Shah of anger burst forth. The emperor fumed and broke the staff over his knee. Violence and hatred erupted. You see now why you are not ready to lead? The White Tiger proclaimed. Your anger does not empower you. It makes you weak. Defenseless, Xiao Hao faced the darkness he had created. As one, the Shah struck out. But as the smoke cleared, the emperor stood, unharmed. The shape of a mighty warrior lay broken at his feet. A warrior who had paid the ultimate price to save his emperor. Xiao Hao's heart swelled as he knelt humbly before the White Tiger. My rage exacted a heavy toll, the emperor said. A single sacrifice has shown me the power of fellowship, of love, of peace. The White Tiger nodded. Again, I ask, why do you fight? For home and family, Xiao Hao replied. For the people I protect. For them, I would give my final breath. Thank you, White Tiger. Relieved at last of all his burdens, the emperor rose. Come, Monkey King, we must go to the heart of Pandaria before all is lost. As the emperor and his friends set out, the skies grew black, for the time of the sundering had come. And so Xiao came to the heart of the land, the sacred veil within the center of his empire. Purged of all his burdens, the Emperor radiated enlightenment. Inside the veil, his people huddled for shelter. They knew that the end of the world had come, and they cried out for the Emperor to save them. People of Pandaria, Xiao declared, stay calm, focus your minds, and together we will make it through this. But his people did not understand. As Xiao gazed upon their faces, he saw the burdens that he had overcome. He recognized doubt and despair. He saw his people frozen in fear or trembling with anger. And he knew that they had little time to learn what he had learned. My people need time, the Emperor realized. And in that moment, the Emperor recalled the lesson of the Jade Serpent. Seek out the heart of Pandaria, for the answer lies within. As Xiao reflected on his journey, he looked to the land and saw a single blossom in the wind. No matter the burdens I faced, he thought, the land provided guidance. But the truest answers always came from within. And then it became clear. I was to have a long life and a prosperous realm. But I am more than just Emperor. I now know what I must do. For I am the heart of Pandaria. People of Pandaria, Xiao proclaimed, you are not yet ready to face the storm that comes for you. And I cannot stop it. But you will weather this storm, and many more. For I will give you the time to learn the lessons that I have learned. And then, the last Emperor of Pandaria sacrificed all that he was, and all that he would be, and gave his final breath to become one with the land. A dense mist surrounded and protected his empire, and while the rest of the world broke apart in the fury of the sundering, Pandaria set itself free. Hidden by the Emperor's breath, it drifted out to sea like a blossom on the wind. The trees in the vale have never stopped blossoming, and in time, we Pandaren learned to live as our Emperor lived. His lessons endure in the temples of his land. And from the snowy peaks of Kunlai summit, he watches over us. And it is said that if we listen very closely, he speaks to us still through the mists. These are the Emperor's gifts to us. And this is Pandaria.
Gosh, I love that. I absolutely love those. Oh, man. This is basically when they started doing these, and they've kept doing them ever since. In Warlords, they did the ones about a few of the specific warlords that we would be facing. You know, the ones where Murad was talking to Varian about them. In Legion, we had the ones on Illidan, Gul'dan, and Khadgar. In BFA, we got the ones on Jaina, Ashara, and Sylvanas. In Shadowlands, we got the ones on each of the 4 different areas of the Shadowlands we'd be going to, and in Dragonflight, we got the ones about the Drakthir. But this is basically when they started doing that, and I am so happy they did, because they have just been absolutely wonderful. I absolutely loved these. I love that the entire thing is narrated by Jim Cummings. This is why I decided to call this video Storytime with Cho, you know, because we think about how many stories that Lore Walker Cho, Jim Cummings, just got to tell us, you know, just wonderful stuff, absolutely wonderful. So like I said, I was double checking, and apparently you don't find the Monkey King on the Horde, which I find odd and interesting, but apparently you do get to find him on the Alliance side. If there is a way to find him on the Horde side, I'll try and figure it out, but otherwise, I'll say if you want to see me find and release the Monkey King, you'll be able to see that on my Alliance playthrough. So anyways, when we return, now I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night in terms of recording and head back into the game and perhaps go ahead and, you know, do the world bosses in the Timeless Isle, do some Timeless Isle stuff, maybe also find some rares in certain zones and such, you know, off-camera stuff. When we return, I think we will be continuing the campaign by heading to the Isle of Thunder, because we've had enough teasing up to this point in regards to the Thunder King. But now, now it's going to be even more relevant going forward from here on out. Because, well, after the Divine Bell, let's just say we're going to find out that the Mogu and even the Zandalari and such, now we were already being shown this in the Kunlai Summit, but yeah, no, now the threat of the Thunder King is going to become a more serious issue. But we will see that when we head to the Isle of Thunder. The Thunder King comes. Stay tuned.